Evening all. Hope all is well down your end and that you're not all falling asleep from watching the Women's World Cup. We managed to find 3 that have stayed awake, hardy souls that they are. And yeah, we've got an absolute cracker of a show coming up for you as we run through the joys of the last few days as the World Cup has kicked off well and truly in style. There's only one game left to go before all of the group games have taken place. So I wonder what our thoughts are so far. We've got a cracking panel. What we've tried to do is get a little bit of international flavour in there as well. So obviously we have got Helen and Ellie, who are both English, but Ellie has a penchant, shall we say, for supporting anyone who's ever had a United shirt on. So I'm sure she'll have plenty of positive things to say. Probably about half the teams that are in the World Cup, actually. So that could be quite good. And of course, we've got Beth, who is unashamedly American and will be flying the flag for our brothers and sisters from across the pond. So we're very much looking forward to it. Let's get into it, shall we? So it's a weekly wrap. Basic idea. It's then we'll have a little look. We'll go through the days, obviously since Thursday, run through some of the matches and just sort of give our opinions on what we thought. And it all kicked off on Thursday with the hosts, as is traditional for all World Cups. 2 little 1-0 wins, one for New Zealand against Norway and one for Australia against Republic of Ireland, 2 different groups. So we'll take the New Zealand and the Norway game to begin with. I felt, having watched the highlights, I've literally done this in like an hour and 10 minutes because the only game I've watched so far is the England one. So I've got a good idea of everything that's happened now. So hopefully it will work well. But it was a great goal, I thought, from Wilkinson from New Zealand. Brilliant ball from the right, managed to beat the left back, and they turned it in. A penalty in the game, definitely a penalty handball. They were unlucky not to score it. Hit the bar, it was a good pen, inch lower, that would have been superb. But no Vilda Borisa for Manchester United, 74 minutes until she came on. So let's hear your thoughts on how New Zealand and Norway got on. Considering they're the hosts, we should probably spend a little bit of time on both them and Australia. So Helen, any thoughts on New Zealand and Norway? And were you surprised to see New Zealand get a win over Norway? Because I've got to be honest, I felt Norway would probably shade it.
Yeah, I was surprised, but I did wonder how Norway were going to play, considering their Euros was quite a disaster, wasn't it? And they still just look like a group of individuals, a bit like the sort of Belgian men's team we've been saying for a few years. They're great individual players that do well for their clubs, but put them together and they can't seem to perform, or there's no team cohesion. We thought maybe the change in manager would help them, but so far not so much. I know it's only one game, but fair play to New Zealand. I think the home crowd really helped them, and almost like if they were going on as underdogs, they had nothing to lose. So they really stuck at it and deservedly got the win, I think, on the balance of play.
I think I would absolutely agree with that. Beth, what's your thoughts on it? Because obviously Norway have decided they're, from what we're hearing from our friend of the show, Phil O'Connor, saying that Caroline Graham Hansen and Ingrid Sørstad. It's a good job Connor's not here because he would not have a go at half of these games names, I've got to tell you. Ingrid Sørstad Engen, that's the one. Both out potentially. What's your thoughts on how Norway kicked off their campaign against New Zealand, Beth?
Yeah, disappointing. Very disappointing. I agree. And Norway look like a bunch of individuals, and it's disappointing, but with how they played in the Euros, I'm not surprised. I don't really know how to get them to play better. And yeah, Caroline Graham Hansen, TJ just said in the chat, I believe she had a cold. Engen just was, I'm not going to swear on here, but a word. She was bad. She was, but she didn't have any help either. And when Borisa finally came in, they both looked a lot better. But yeah, they disappointed very, very much.
Now, Ellie, you can come at it from the United point of view if you want. Do you think Norway would have done better had Vilderbo Risa played? Because certainly looking at the balance of play, Norway were the better side. They had the better opportunities, I think, than New Zealand. But having said that, New Zealand could have walked away with that game with a 2-0 win. Do we feel like Vilderbo Risa should have been out there a bit more, or are you thinking that Norway should have had enough to get across the line themselves without?
Well, of course, I think we'd all love Voldemort to stay on more because, yeah, when she came on, it looked lively that game, and like I agree, like all what's been said. I think Norway, they have a full stack squad. We can all say that, but they're just not performing on the levels that they should be. Like I think the Euros really shook them up, losing that much to England, and then came in the World Cup. They like they've been said about not swearing, but they've been already. So I don't know. They carry on like this, they're not going to make it through the group. Yeah, maybe we might be being dramatic because it's the first game, but they're being. I'm sorry, but they're being a bit terrible. So yeah.
Absolutely. And again, make sure you drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. That would be much appreciated. So yeah, that was New Zealand. And then obviously Australia kicked off their campaign as well. And we saw for the second time that night another penalty. I've got to say again, absolutely felt it was a penalty. It was a push in the back. So that was 2 penalties, both of which I felt were penalties. The New Zealand one obviously was a handball, so couldn't really argue with it. The arm was out. But again, good penalty from Catley. Really good. Popped it in the top corner. Nothing they could do about that. They had a free kick late on, Republic of Ireland. McCabe had an effort as well, but it was all right last second sort of thing. Traditional scrappy sort of stuff. Do you feel like Australia should have been hoping to beat Republic of Ireland more than just 1-0? Or would they just be happy they got the 3 points, Helen?
I think because Sam Kerr was ruled out, I think that probably shook the team a lot, and maybe the whole game plan so went out the window a bit. And Republic of Ireland were always going to be tough and scrappy, and we're used to seeing that with the players that we know from the English league. And yeah, I think maybe they underestimated Ireland a bit, and I don't think from recollection that Australia had too many chances. I don't remember Brosnan making that many saves, but yeah, and Ireland could have nicked a point at the end. But yeah, I think the Sam Kerr absence can't be underestimated for the captaincy, for what she brings in the dressing room and the team and everything. I know she probably still would have been there, but out on the pitch as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. And again, TJ and lots of people getting their points in about the Norway game early in point now, as did other people. That Caroline Graham-Hampson did have a cold, but she's back in training now. So whether dropping her for tactical reasons or not, who knows? We shall see. But Beth, how did you feel about the Australia game? As I say, Republic of Ireland weren't really at the races as much. Do you feel like Aoife Mannion might have shored up that defence even more, and that penalty wouldn't have been given away had we had Aoife Mannion in defence?
Who knows? She possibly wouldn't have, but it's possible she would have. You never know. No, with her experience, probably not. But I was disappointed in Australia. Well, as Helen said, we know Ireland. They're scrappy, they're physical. They are very good technically, but they just like to sit more like in a low block and then go out in transition. So I'm not surprised that Australia, especially with Sam Kerr out, not getting as many goals, I guess, or having as many looks. But yeah, first game, everybody was just hyped. And yeah, that's all I got.
Absolutely. JJ, don't get too upset. Rob likes to do this, old RC. He pops in every now and again and just sort of messes around with people's heads. That's exactly what he's done here. Of course, Thor wasn't playing. She's still back home doing what she needs to do to get better from her injury, as TJ says. I think what he's trying to say is that a lot of people blamed Thor. when the Euros came around for how that game against England went specifically as well. So I think he's merely trying to use his sarcasm button to stick up for Thor and the fact that Norway are just poor, regardless of whether or not Thor plays, which seems to be the case at the moment. Ellie, I couldn't have this conversation with you without mentioning the fact I asked Beth about Aoife. Diane Caldwell obviously did not make the starting lineup. She didn't come on at all either. I think either way, though, whether Diane played or whether they didn't, I think if we're being brutally honest, it was the right decision at the end of the day for Australia to win. But how did you feel about the game, and how do you feel about Diane not starting or playing at all?
Well, I thought Ireland really did a good job against Australia, considering how far up Australia are in the ranks. Then you look at Ireland, so I think they really came out like tough and strong. And like you said, Kate McCabe, we all know she's tough and all that from the WSL, and she made like a few tackles here and there to stop the attack and everything. But at the end of the day, I think we knew Australia would at some point maybe get a goal, and that was it from the penalty spot. If they didn't give that penalty away, I truly think it would have been a 0-0 draw, just because of how well the Ireland actually came out fighting. Like, I was surprised at how well there was, because I'm like, oh, Australia, they're Australian, that's it, they'll fight and they'll like fashion like 3-4-0, and it was only 1-0. So I was surprised at that, and I'm happy for Ireland though, because it's obviously their first major tournament. And about Diana not starting, I think every game that I've been to in our Ireland game, she never starts. Sometimes she comes on at like the 80th minute, but I think that's just various plans for the starting 11. You can't really mess up the starting 11 from the Australia game now, when they actually did fairly really good. So yeah, I don't think she'll start next game either, but who knows?
Who knows, indeed. And Rob agrees with you, and I think he means that one. It's hard to tell when he's taking the mickey and when he's not. So we're gonna give him the benefit on that one. And yes, maybe Canada might have trouble scoring against Ireland too. We shall see. But obviously that was the opening day. It was a lovely day, 2 great games, and then of course came Friday. And what a day Friday was! Because there were 3 rather interesting games, all of which saw one side score nothing, and in 2 games, the other team did score. Of course, the one we're going to kick off was Nigeria against Canada. Just talking about what was just said there by TJ. I felt Canada probably just about had the better of the game against Nigeria. But my goodness, it was an interesting 0-0 bunch of highlights to watch that one. Schwaller for Nigeria possibly had one of the best opportunities. I don't know if you guys saw it, but the goalkeeper comes flying out, absolutely nowhere near the ball, misses it entirely. Oshwala's gone past the goalie, and then for a reason I cannot fathom, rather than actually taking a shot, she just poked it across the goal when there was not a green shirt to be seen, only the 3 defenders. So I felt that was probably a really good opportunity for them, which they didn't do well for. Having said that as well, they also had a player sent off, Abby Oden, and it was poor, wasn't it? Again, Helen, did you see it? It was a pretty poor challenge over the top of the ball, missed it completely. It was definitely a red card, and she nearly got away with a yellow. So thank God for VAR on that one.
Yeah, I thought Ashley Lawrence was going to leave on a stretcher. The way her foot was planted, and then the opposition player boot just went right over onto her ankle. I was awake at 3:30 in the morning watching it. Not intentionally, but I got woken up anyway, and I thought, why not? So yeah, it was a good watch for a 0-0. Yeah, very exciting. Lots happening. A few dodgy moments from both teams, and yeah, I don't know. I can't remember Canada really having that many clear-cut chances. Nigeria perhaps had one and a half, if you can call it, well, maybe 2. But yeah, I do wonder about Canada, because again, you can see the quality in the team, and then they're the Olympic champions. But are they going to like where the goal's going to come from. And, obviously we've got Adriana Leon, and she made all the right runs and was very full of energy, but sometimes the final touch let her down. But on the plus side, I thought Jade was good. I was watching her quite a lot. From the United point of view, of course.
She played 71 minutes, which wasn't bad, was it, really?
Yeah. Still getting back to full fitness, I think. So.
Correct. And a nice 0-0, so nothing too bad there. Jennifer, you're absolutely right. When I watched it again, like we just said, she absolutely could have gone off on a stretcher the way it was looking. It was planted. It wasn't nice. And yeah, that could be interesting. But again, for the third game on the trot, a penalty was awarded. And again, I think it was a penalty. I don't think there could be any disagreement with that. But the save, what a save that was, Beth. Did you see the match?
To be honest, no. That's one of the
very difficult to talk about the penalty save. So talk to me a little bit instead about how you feel about the fact that your your friends from across the border can only muster a 0-0 result against Nigeria. Did that come as a surprise to you? Because I was surprised.
Not really, to be completely honest with you. They have Christine Sinclair and Jordan Heidema, and neither one of them, like, Sinclair's old. Like, she's, I think, like 40, but Heidema's just not been goal scoring as much as you would think she would be. She came back to the NWSL. I thought she'd get a lot better. Oh, it was the PK save. I saw the highlight of it. I saw Sinclair sad, but I didn't actually see the save. But yeah, I'm not that surprised. I wish, but at the same time, like, they have Leon. I don't know.
I mean, Leon didn't play. From what I saw, I'm right with that, and Helen. Leon didn't turn up on that game. She wasn't.
She was industrious, but running around all over the place. But yeah, didn't really link up that well with the midfield, I didn't think.
She did play. Anonymous. Absolutely anonymous then. Yeah, she didn't do much, and she was taken off, which was on the 64th minute. So it wasn't great. We just put on here, Beth must have celebrated that pen miss more than... No, she didn't. She didn't even know it happened. Paying zero attention to Canada in that respect. But what I will say, TJ, with regards to the penalty was this. Absolutely. It's exactly what I wrote in my notes. An easy save. Too easy. It was a good, strong hand. But when you go low like that, you have to send the goalkeeper the wrong way. So if you don't, the chances of it going in are slim unless they're right in the bottom corner. And this one was not right in the bottom corner. So it was a rather poor penalty, which definitely led to the result that we got. Ellie, did you see the match?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
So what did you think? Penalty save and, of course, the red card.
Yeah, red card. That was definitely one. And that was definitely a pen as well. You can't be doing that, and I'm just glad we've got VAR like that this summer, because you never know, that could have been like no penalty without VAR. You know these refs these days. But over the game, I just think Canada, they weren't up to like what they can do, up to their best. But I think they are missing players, aren't they? Is it Janine Becker they're missing through an ACL? I think when I've watched them in the past, she's been really good and technical on the ball for them. So I think they're really missing her. But then I feel like everything's got into the Reds to know about the funding, not getting enough funds, this and that. So maybe that's got into the Reds a bit. So yeah, I think they had clear chances, both teams, I thought, really did. But so that save from the penalty, wow. That's all I can say, wow. Because I can't believe it from her. But yeah, I thought maybe Canada could have nicked like a 1-0 goal, but I just feel on the day and night they just weren't up to the standards. But yeah, I think they're really missing Janine Becker. But I think their keeper's really good as well. Is it Kaylin? Yeah.
Don't ask me.
Yeah.
I didn't say I'd memorised everybody's names. I've written a lot there.
Caitlin Sheridan, Canada.
Yeah, she's a really top goalkeeper, I think, as well. So maybe in the games coming up, I think she'll play a crucial part for Canada as well. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, there we go. So that was Group A and Group B that were finished at that particular time. So now will be a good time to have a little look at what the next game is going to have for both. I need to watch Sheridan. I want her if Mary leaves.
Yeah, she's brilliant. Well, she's not going to
Okay.
leave Mary.
I'm going to throw that one out there. Would all three of you take Sheridan if Mary Earps was to leave next season?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but Casey Stoney's her manager. She's never going to come to United.
Yeah.
Exactly. She won't go.
Oh, the plot thickens. I would say to that. I'm pretty sure last season it was the Dutch goalkeeper. There was a young Dutch goalkeeper, wasn't there, who came in and just absolutely set the tournament alight in terms of how well she played. I
Just
quite
signed for
like.
Villa.
Yeah,
That was-
Damsgaard.
She was one that I would have quite gone for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, listen, if you guys are saying Sheridan, then I'll go with it. Not a problem. So taking a look at Group A as it stands, the two games coming up will be New Zealand against the Philippines and Switzerland against Norway. So we should probably have a talk about that game, really, shouldn't we? Because that was played as well. So Switzerland against the Philippines. Do you know, I don't know this being like this in the men's game. They usually sort of play it. Group A games get played, Group B games get played, and there's an order to things. And there is no order in this one. This is absolute chaos. I can see that Group B, Australia, get like an extra 3 or 4 days before they have to play their second game. Not that I'm saying there's anything being rigged at all whatsoever, but it's like they've almost given Sam Kerr a chance to be ready. Who knows? But we'll chat about that. Switzerland and the Philippines, it was a 2-0 win. Switzerland, let's be honest, I think deserved it. It was a good win for them. Backman, it was Ramona Backman who scored from the penalty spot for Switzerland. But Philippines actually had the ball in the back of the net before all of that occurred. It was a brilliant goal, but very offside. Had it not been, obviously, it could have been a very different scoreline. But instead, they went on to go and win. I have to say that the penalties given in these games, did any of you three watch that game, or have you seen the highlights for that game? Any of you three? Right, so it's going to be Helen that I put this one to, because I think that penalty, of all that I've seen so far, that one felt very questionable to me. She definitely kicks the ankle, but the players stretching out to get the ball in the first place, so it very much felt like a 50-50. It's one of those that I felt to be given as a penalty. It's a foul at the end of the day, so you can argue it is a penalty because it was a foul. But did it feel a bit harsh to you for that to be a penalty? Because it really was tame.
Yeah, I felt they're both stretching, trying to get the ball. Just sort of a collision, isn't it? Not really a foul. Sort of one player doing all the action on the other sort of thing. So yeah, but they seem to love having VAR and using it and giving penalties left, right, and centre.
Well, they certainly were at the beginning of it. Absolutely, there was a good penalty, well scored, and the second goal, to be honest, was a bit poor. It was the third time of asking. It wasn't cleared. It was all a bit pinball wizard, but it resulted in Switzerland winning 2-0. So as a result, you've got New Zealand to play the Philippines. You've got Switzerland to play Norway. Of course, if New Zealand and Switzerland both get, well, either a win or a draw, potentially, they'll be right up there with the chance of progression. How important is this game for Norway specifically? I mean, I think we're all agreed that New Zealand should probably beat the Philippines, but Switzerland and Norway, that's an interesting one. What do we reckon? Who do we see going out of that group? Helen, you can answer that first.
It's another potential banana skin for Norway. Switzerland are quite strong, I think. They might not have sort of longevity going into the all the way into the tournament, but they're very organised, and the players we know from our teams and our leagues that they've got have good quality. And I think a lot revolves around Backman. She's the captain and the leader and everything. So I think Norway, well, they certainly can't perform any worse than they did the first game. So maybe it's a free hit for them to just get their act together. But I don't think they'd want Switzerland next, considering how they played the first game. I think they would have wanted it the other way around, with Switzerland
think I'd
first
agree
in the
with that.
group.
Absolutely. Beth, how would you see Group A going there? Because to be honest, I very much see New Zealand as the favourites at this point in time.
Oh yeah, I think they're gonna hopefully ride that momentum and just at least maybe scrape through the group. Or wow, sorry, sleep deprived. Scrape through the group, but they will get out.
And Ellie, would that be the same for you?
Yeah, I think it'll be New Zealand and Switzerland to go through, and unfortunately, I just don't think Norway will come out of the group. I just don't think. Not with how they played the first game, but they've got something to prove if they do really want to get out of that group against Switzerland. And like you just said, Barry, Switzerland's have just been really good, so don't know. It'd be like a fighting game now for Norway. And do you know what? They're really missing our girls there, Maria and Lisa. That's all. They really are. You can tell.
That's the first ones. She's in, she's off, Ellie's locked and loaded, ready to go. I am right in saying it is the top 2 teams that go through.
Yeah,
Cup good. So Norway are in with a shout, but yeah, it's definitely looking very promising for both New Zealand and Switzerland should they get the win. And then obviously we have got in Group B, Australia will be facing Nigeria and Canada will be facing the Republic of Ireland. So Australia are obviously the only team with 3 points in that group. Nigeria and Canada after their draw with 1. Again, Republic of Ireland must win. Again, just round in the same order. Helen, Beth, Ellie, how are we feeling about that group? Again, it looks very much like Australia are going to go through, which I think would have expected. Nigeria, Canada, Republic of Ireland. Who do we see being the second one to go through alongside Australia?
I think Nigeria are so nearly there. That's tough. I think you'd probably say Canada to go through with Australia, but judging by the first game, maybe not. Yeah, anything can happen. I think those other 3 are quite even.
I'd say so. Very even. Beth, are you going to put your neck on the chopping block?
I don't know. I agree.
Yourself from Canada.
Yeah, it's very, very even. I don't know. I want Nigeria to go through, but I could definitely see them having trouble, especially against Ireland. So it's really a group of death. I agree 100%.
Absolutely. Ellie, where would you go with that one?
I'm going to put it out there. I think Australia and Ireland are going to get through. I feel Ireland are going to...
Ireland can beat Canada.
Yep, I did. I really did. 1-0.
You heard it here first, folks. It's an AFU, WFC, WWC exclusive.
They're going to do it 1-0, I reckon. Even in the dying minutes, I think it's going to be a 1-0 to Ireland. They're going to... But then I feel tight because the United girls on Canada, but judging by the way Canada played, Ireland can do it against them.
Crikey.
So, 1-0, I'm going.
Fair play. The only one, stick your neck out there and go, actually, I think this is going to be a one that's going to... You've not gone, I think it's going to be close. Just, it's Ireland and Australia. Simply done. It's all about the teams in green. Not that Australia are always in green, but they've got green on with the yellow, haven't they? So there we go. TJ, no, I think if Norway lose twice, it's pretty much game over for them, unless the Philippines somehow manage to beat New Zealand. If New Zealand win and Switzerland won, they'll both be on 6 points. So that'll be it. Game over. You can't get 6 points for a final game. So that will be the end of that for them. Jennifer's saying she really fancies Nigeria to qualify, which would be quite interesting. TJ saying it's the group of death. It could well be. John's gone for the Irish. No bias there whatsoever from John and his potentially Irish heritage there that he has got. But he does say this is the World Cup. Anything can happen. Not quite anything. For example, Scotland aren't going to win. So there we go. That's how you do it, Beth. Play with the people over the border. Wind them up. That's what it's all about. Right, we're going to change it slightly rather than going in order of days because that's too confusing. We're just going to go through the groups. So obviously, Group C would be the next group, and that will see Japan and Costa Rica, and then Spain play Zambia. Now, Japan and Spain both had good wins. We'll talk about Spain first. Spain against Costa Rica. What a game that was. Obviously, Onabatier did start. We had no interest in that from a United point of view in terms of other players. Garcia not playing. But it was really quite a good one. Again, there was another penalty. Again, have we seen this one? Who saw this match? Yeah, we saw that one. We'll come to Beth on this one then, because I don't think that was a penalty. There was zero contact on that player. She's jumped over them and then maybe lost her footing a little bit when she realised she wasn't going to get the ball. I thought that was a little bit cheeky, that penalty. What say you?
Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you see it, Helen?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Penalty for you?
Very soft, and the fact that she missed it sort of made it all even. So
Softer than the roll of Andrex, that one. Ellie, did you see it?
Yeah, I'm going with you. Soft as anything. That was not a penalty.
But to be honest, by the time that was given, it was already 3-0. It was an unbelievable start from these guys. They absolutely did brilliantly. The own goal, obviously, was a bit of a shame. Bit of a miss kick. Not a lot that could happen there. But then after that, Atana Bonmati and Esther Gonzalez, two pretty simple ones. Battier with the assist. Spain looking really good, as we'd have expected them to. Would you say so, Helen?
yeah, they didn't really get out of third gear, and the Costa Rica keeper played a blinder. The fact that it was only 3-0, it could have been 8 or 9, and yeah, they looked really threatening, and they had Pateas on the bench, so she only came on for the last quarter of an hour or so. So yeah, certainly
Absolutely.
got more to come from Spain because it looked too easy for them at times.
I would say so. TJ saying Spain and Japan and also that Group C is such a fun watch. Rob's joining in. Good old RC here. What group is Northern Ireland in? See, he's doing it too. Just windy. All good fun. But yes, it was absolutely soft. And JJ saying watching Honor play made me sad. Well, don't be sad that she's gone. Just be glad that it happened, would be what I'd say there. This is a great point, Beth, and I'll ask you about this one. It's a 46 chances for Spain, all said and done. About the last time I saw the stats on that, it was 40 attempts on goal with 11 on target. So there was obviously 6 more after that popped up on the highlights. It just goes to show, though, that even though Spain were doing well, they weren't quite at it in terms of getting that ball on target. So, like Helen says, probably more to come from Spain in terms of if they can get into the groove.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Spain is going to be one of those teams that just grows through the tournament, and we'll see them actually convert their chances, hopefully. And maybe a little bit more on target. That would be a better ratio than, what was it, 46 to 10 or 11? That's not great. But yeah, they're definitely going to grow through the tournament, hopefully.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't know the answer to this, JJ. I think it was about 3 or 4 the last time I had a conversation about this, but it's the World Cup at the end of the day, and we can't be having a go at people for going on to play. And TJ agreeing with his fellow American there. Ellie, how many tears did you shed watching Onabatier play and realising she's not going to be here next season?
Well, it does pain to watch her and how good she is. Because I think I watched a video of her in training, and what a rocket she put in the back of the net. I thought, wow, she's not our player anymore. But like you said, they come and go now, don't they? So, but Spain, I think they're going to look really good now with, is it Alexia back from an ACL injury? She'll come back firing again, but I seen she only came on as a sub the other night. So yeah, I think Spain are going to progress. Fair enough, some of the players are out, but Bonmati, you can't argue. She's class, and obviously you got Honor. Then you got Alexia. So hopefully they'll just get more. Alexia will get more game time, and then I think they're going to progress them.
RC's properly on one today. He is absolutely, he's going for the jugular everywhere. This, by the way, is just underrated message of the day. For those Americans, Woolworths went bust. So it's a good shop over here. We used to have a bit of Woolies. You get your pick and mix from there. But yeah, they did go bust. So that was very good. But yes, now RC is sitting there and having a go at TJ, which is a little bit harsh. Jennifer goes, it hurts more to see Honor than the defector to Arsenal, maybe. And apparently Alessia was never part of the boycott. That's fine. Not really here to talk about the boycott today, as it's not really happening. Listen, the other team in that group, Japan, can I just say, of all the highlights I watched, what a 90 minutes that must have been. I felt like the highlights were 90 minutes, the amount of them that were going on. Because Japan, they ended up winning 5-0, but they hit the post first of all. Then Tanaka thought she'd scored and she was offside. Then the goalkeeper pulled off an absolute worldie save. Then Tanaka thought she'd scored again, but she was offside again, before eventually they finally started putting the ball in the back of the net. Miyazawa, I'm going to go with that one. She scored a couple, both pretty good goals. Poor defence in general, but really good work in terms of getting the crosses in. Tanaka did get on the score sheet, which was good for her. Endo managed to score as well. Easy run into the box on the left-hand side, no problems there. And a penalty. And again, I would say that was definitely a penalty. But it was very much a precursor of things to come, as the first penalty was saved and then it was retaken. And the goal was obviously scored by Ueki. So it was a really good performance from Japan. And I remember watching Twitter and seeing the way people were talking about that. And they were all saying, what an unbelievable game that is from Japan. And if that had been any other team, there'd be plaudits aplenty. But there didn't seem to be all that many. With that in mind, again, we're in a very similar position to the New Zealand and Norway Group A situation. Japan and Spain, if they go on to beat Costa Rica, not Costa Coffee. Hello, it's the cat again. Across the picture. Just pleased it wasn't Just Stop Oil, to be honest with you, because I was worried when I saw the orange. But yeah, it's the same for Group C as it was in Group A. It's going to be Japan and Spain, isn't it, guys? Surely they're going to be the two teams that go through to the next round. Helen?
Yeah, I think we maybe expected slightly more from Zambia, considering they beat Germany, but unfortunately their defence had nothing to stop the goals going in. So, yeah, Spain and Japan, and when they play each other, it'll probably be 6-6.
Absolutely. Beth, do you see any way back for Costa Rica and Zambia?
Unfortunately, no. And that actually is kind of sad for me because I really like one of the Costa Rican players, Rocky Rodriguez. But yeah, I don't. Japan and Spain are just way too good. Way too good. And Japan is extremely underrated. And it is very disappointing because they have a World Cup. Like, don't forget, they have a World Cup in 2011. Like, they know how to win. But yeah, I'm really excited to see them.
Absolutely. And Ellie, can you see past Japan and Spain, really, especially after those first two games?
Yeah, them two are going to go through, I think. But then I do feel slightly disappointed with Zambia because I feel they're a team that have got a physical strength. Like, I get when they played Ireland, when I watched that game, they really have got some good strength. And who's that player called? Is it something beginning with a B? And she's unbelievable for them. I don't know what she's called, but yeah. And then
Banda.
her
Barbara Banda.
Barbara, yeah, she's really good for them, I think. And against Germany, they were unbelievable against Germany. But yeah, I see them two going through, unfortunately. But yeah.
Absolutely. Now that we then have to go to Group D, and of course, Group D is England's group. So we'll have a little conversation about that. England will be facing Denmark whilst China play Haiti. That'll be an interesting one. It's my first one of a tricky group, really, insofar as where two teams that won have to play against each other. So it opens up an opportunity for the Chinese and for Haiti. We'll talk about China first of all, because their game was notable because it was the first game that did not have a penalty given. And since that game, no penalties have been given. So it's been a very interesting situation. I think there's not a huge amount to say about the game, really, other than Denmark probably the better of the team in the second half. China probably had the first bit of the game. It was a good looping header right at the end. So if you want to mention anything about Denmark and China in this conversation, now is the time to say so.
No, I just thought I thought the goal at the end, that was so crafty, that goal by them. Because I was messaging someone, I was like, yeah, this is going to be 0-0 of this. That was it. Straight ahead, then bang, right now. I thought, great. I don't know, I was just, yeah.
Okay, there we go. Good. That's got that one out of the way, because I watched that and I went, that was a bit dull. So it wasn't really too much I could get in there for that one. But the England game, now, I was disappointed because I was away on the Saturday. I was in Kent, so there was no way I could get on the show. But I wanted to be on the show because I was a little bit annoyed watching the game because everything I said sort of came true. The defence worries me. It genuinely worries me. Against a better team, we are going to be relying massively on Mary Earps. 2 brilliant saves from Mary Earps in that game, which probably stopped us from having a bit of a turnaround there. Again, the penalty was given. 2 penalties could have been given. The one beforehand, again, people were saying in the ground they couldn't hear what was going on. But a foul by Russo, I mean, again, 50-50. I'm not totally convinced that should have been given as a foul by Russo, let alone a yellow card. But it was given. And the bit I love, and we'll talk about this as well afterwards, is the fact that VAR is being used and explained to us for the decisions that they're making, which I think is absolutely bloody wonderful, because we're not sitting there wondering how they've come up with this idea and what they're doing. Because in previous tournaments, we'd have looked at that and they'd have just gone no penalty. We'll be like, how she basically took her foot off, which is why she got a yellow card. So no penalty given that time. The penalty was eventually given for a handball by a lady who I think thought she was playing netball. Because I can't, or volleyball, because I can't think of any other reason why you jump like this. Absolutely blew my mind, that one. So well deserved. And then Georgia Stanway, of course, steps up and has her penalty saved really well, I have to say. The Haiti goalkeeper really got across well to save that. But thankfully, she was off her line. So we had the chance to retake it, just like in the Japan game. And in the battle of wits, Georgia Stanway goes exactly the same way, while the goalkeeper thinks she's going to change her mind. So that's how you take a penalty low. Make sure the goalie goes the wrong way. We got the win. It's going to be tricky. Denmark, I don't think, are going to pose massive problems. I still see us getting through the group. But what's your thoughts on where this group stands at the moment, Helen?
England should go through. But again, we're saying the defence is suspect, and where are the goals coming from? So we're going to have to either change the starting 11 or make earlier subs, I think, which Serena doesn't like to do, but we'll see. And yeah, I think probably England and Denmark to go through, unless China really find goal scoring ability from somewhere, because they didn't really look like it in the Denmark game.
No, absolutely seems fair. Beth, where would you go with all of that?
Yeah, I agree. Denmark and England to go through, but it's going to be hard for you guys. It will. So, but hopefully, Millie Bright can shake off rustiness and be a little bit better. But well, just the defense in general. But yeah, it's going to be difficult. But it's a World Cup. You never know. If you scrape by it, then you're golden. A win is a win.
It is. Don't even start me on this one, RC. Don't even start me on it. The last time it happened, I got myself very irate. So let's not have that conversation about how we could have had the best young centre-back in the country representing us at the World Cup and strengthening our defence. Don't even go there. Ellie, what did you think?
I can say as an England fan, I thought we were just shocking. Like, there was no attacks going on really. We literally had a goal from a penalty spot. Imagine if that would have. She saved it anyway. Imagine it if it was stored. That would have been a draw. And I think for every England fan, it's frustrating because we did used to win like 5, 6, 7-0. Then it went to like 1-0s. Now it's 0-0s and this and that. But I think I kind of expected that because obviously we got like key players out, Beth Mead, Leah Williamson, and we're really missing her. I think because she used to like long balls up the top, and now we just seem a bit dead. Like Millie Bright, I think. Like what's been said of rustiness, I don't know. She just still has it, I feel. So yeah, like I said, I think Denmark, England, yeah, we'll go for England. But England just need to be aware now there's bigger, better like countries now that can destroy us. USA. If we face USA, we don't stand a chance. I don't think. So we'll see, but I think England can make out the group.
I think it's going to be very hard. I mean, again, lots of people saying we were dreadful. I don't think we were dreadful. I think attacking wise, we seemed okay. Like the midfield was okay, although Haiti certainly took over from that. And by the way, plaudits to De Mornay. I thought she was absolutely brilliant in the midfield there. Shows why she got the tag of the best young player in the world. But equally, I think it's just defensively they cut through us quite easily at times. And like I say, you let someone like Spain, Germany, even Japan at this rate do that. And unless they're offside, it's going to be game over. So, very, very interesting. People talking about Russo and England, as in the person, not the country. I'm not sure she's being treated like crap. I've always said it. Russo is better than England, but I still felt that Daly's better than Russo at the moment because she's got the goals. So I think if anyone's being treated like crap at the minute, it's Rachel Daly because she's the top goal scorer in the WSL and was reduced to a bit part when we needed someone up there who was going to score. Russo wasn't quite cutting the mustard, I don't think there. So that was a little bit. Go on.
Sorry, and what I said and other people have said, next game, what we should do is keep Russo 2 on their bench, bring Lauren James or Chloe Kelly maybe, and then bring them on super subs again. Because I feel like our super subs now are starting, and obviously it's because we've got Mido out and everything, but we do still need them super subs, I feel.
No, absolutely. RC's not happy with me. Go on. Whatever you've got to say, RC, throw it out there. What's this? England scored most of the Russo goal tally in half a season. I don't care. It's for Spurs. It's probably against some rubbish team like Reading. So I'm not interested in that conversation. For me, Russo's potential and ability is enough for her to be picked ahead of England for England. But I know that Helen disagrees with that because she just put in the private chat England for England. So there we go. But it was something I said last season and I agreed with it then and I'm going to stick with it now. So there we go. I will die on that hill due to the fact that I built that hill. So we'll see. Plus exactly this. I hate England playing for England because I never know which one we're talking about. Exactly this, TJ. It's like, why? If having them go and play for like France or something, that would be a much easier way to get through it. So there we go. So we can't spend all afternoon or evening rather talking about the England game because we're 48 minutes in and only halfway through the groups, but the other ones shouldn't take quite so long. So there we go. But I thought all in all, not too bad. I think we're, like we say, England should still go through. Could be Denmark, could be China, could be Haiti, to be honest with you, for the second one there. But it will be very interesting to see who gets the advantage and first blood going into the third round of games. So let's go to your nation now, shall we, Beth? And Group E, where you've got a very similar situation. The USA will be facing the Netherlands, both of whom got their wins, while Portugal will face Vietnam, both of whom obviously lost. Again, the Vietnam game, I was disappointed that I didn't see anything on Twitter, especially in the UK, about the fact that this was a game that was taking place in the morning. I was expecting some Good Morning Vietnam references, didn't see any of that. I feel like people have gone, that's a film, just so you know, because you won't have watched that. But I'm really disappointed that we didn't have that. Vietnam, I felt really, it it was a tough one, wasn't it? USA came out, smashed them really. Nice early goal. Sophia Smith could have had a hat trick. They had one that was off the bar that didn't quite go over the line. It wasn't like Frank Lampard. Lindsay Horan's goal was, I thought, really, really good. The second one for Sophia Smith could have been offside. It wasn't. It was just really poor goalkeeping, I thought, as well. But, I mean, USA were always going to beat Vietnam, weren't they, Beth?
Yeah, we were. I was disappointed, honestly, that it was 3-0, but I wish it would have been more just because of who we have on the field. But you can't win them all by 13 goals. Throwback to 2019. But yeah.
Yeah, you would go with that. Helen, USA, one of the favourites for the tournament as ever, but I mean, Vietnam didn't stand a chance in that game, really, did they?
No, and I think the USA coach said he blamed nerves for their lack of clinical finishing, because everyone thought it should have been, at least 6, 7, 8, whatever. So, credit to Vietnam. Not everyone plays the USA and only gets beaten 3-0.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The penalty that USA had, Ellie, did you see the USA match?
Yes.
See, that was a much better save, I thought, from the Vietnam goalkeeper there. And I think really the problem for them was that was only at 1-0. So when the goalie made the save, really well saved, they then didn't go on and take advantage of the fact that they'd kept in the game. And obviously at that point, the USA took hold of the game. But, I mean, again, USA, they're getting through this group without too much of a problem, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. But you've got to look at USA, though, on their team. They've got an unbelievable squad. Like Lindsay Van, that goal was beautiful, I thought, by her. Sophia Smith, she's only young. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she's only 18, 19, is she?
22.
22, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, I think she's unbelievable as well. But yeah, you've just got to look at that squad and think what a squad they've got. But maybe I felt it should have been more, but fair play to Vietnam. Like, they played to their strengths, if you get me. Like, it could have been more, but they tried to stop him. I did think it was going to be like 6 now because, come on, USA, the USA. But, like everyone says, 3 points on the board. What more could you ask for? So, yeah, it was a good match, Dom. Really, USA really got the fight out there. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And Helen, your thoughts on the USA looking good?
Yeah, seemingly without really trying. I think someone commented the Netherlands game will be interesting, but I don't think Netherlands are that strong defensively apart from Van der Graaf. I think Janssen can be a bit suspect, but they'll want to get revenge for the final in 2019. So they'll be up for it for sure.
Absolutely. Again, we talk about the Netherlands. They beat Portugal 1-0. Again, I feel they were the better side. Probably deserved the win. It was Stef van der Graat who got the goal. I mean, it's headed from a corner. It was offside, given the VAR intervened. It was an interesting one, that one, because the players were on the line and they were pretty much offside, but they weren't going to interfere really with what the goalkeeper was doing. They didn't stop her from diving or do anything like that. So I think the right decision was made. Jackie Gronin played 90 minutes, but I didn't see her in the highlights, so I couldn't tell you how well she played. I would leave that to other people, and that's not a dig. I know people think I like to dig at Jackie Gronin. I didn't see her in there. By this point, I've been watching highlights for a long time, didn't really pay attention. So, but either way, she was on the winning team. So we are looking at a probable USA and Netherlands going through. But of course, if America do manage to beat the Netherlands and Portugal beat Vietnam, we could be into a very, very tasty sort of situation there, because obviously the USA would need to play Portugal. Portugal could need to beat America, who might already be qualified by that point, in order to get through, whereas Netherlands will have to play Vietnam, obviously, and they will probably fancy getting a result there. So who's your other team to go through? USA we were saying, but Netherlands, Portugal, or Vietnam? What do you reckon, you three? Any order you like, you know. We're all grown ups.
Portugal.
I think Netherlands are going to go through. Yeah, Netherlands are going to go through, I think.
So we had one for Netherlands, one for Portugal. What are you saying, Helen?
USA and Netherlands.
Interesting. I think it'll probably be Netherlands as well. And where was it? Here we go. RC said Jackie was fabulous. TJ says Jackie played CDM and did well. So good stuff there. And TJ said, I don't think Netherlands need to worry about not qualifying. Oh, she says Netherlands is winning the group. Now he's having a go at you, Betty. Here we go. We're winding up again. While Jennifer thinks it will be Portugal. So it'll be another tight one. So we're really interested in next week's show to see how well they've done. But yes, certainly looking good. So in Group F, we are looking at France playing Brazil and Panama facing Jamaica.
What a game.
The France game against Jamaica. For a start, Cascarino played, and she played a centre-back as well, which is quite interesting because Mark's going to generally try to play her in midfield. So that was an interesting one to see. Tunkara was on the bench, but did not feature. Other major highlights, really, it was finished 0-0. France absolutely battered Jamaica. From what I can see, they just had way more good opportunities than Jamaica did. Diani managed to hit the bar and the post in the same shot, which was quite impressive, but it didn't go in. I suppose the only other big thing there really is that Bunny Shaw is going to be suspended for the game against Brazil, which is not the team you'd want to have been suspended for when you've got your star striker out. I don't think it was a red card. I mean, it was for 2 yellows, so it was a second yellow. It was a foul, but as Shaw slid in, it was like the trailing leg that sort of caught her. And I've got to be honest, the lady who was taken out, the French one, whose name I'm afraid has escaped me, but I can kind of remember it when you say
Renard.
Renard, that's the one. Thank you. I think she was doing a bit of a Rivaldo. You know, that one where he was taking a corner and the ball got thrown against him and he just threw himself on the floor as if he'd been taken out by the sniper that got JFK. It was horrific. And like, honestly, I don't think it was a red. Does anyone see it and want to agree or disagree? Because I'm not sure it should have been a red.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I don't think that was a red, because when they got took out, so did Bunny Shaw. She got took out as well. So I don't see how that was a red card. I just don't like. It did baffle me though. Like, why? Because they both got fouled, and then Bunny got sent off. I was like, what? Yeah, it wasn't a red for me.
Yeah, I think it could be tough. Anything for either of you two to mention about the France-Jamaica game?
France need a striker.
Yes.
I know they've got Vicky Becco, but she's quite young. I'm surprised they didn't take Mallard with them, but she hasn't been that great for Lyon. So maybe
I feel like think what France are missing is it Katoto.
Definitely.
Yeah, they're missing her 100%. You can see it. 100%.
People seeming to agree with us. Not red was unlucky. I really don't know whether you're being honest or not. I don't feel like I can take anything you've said seriously when you're writing this now, because people are saying Shaw went missing. As you go, no, she was so good. But also Cascarino was great. Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't got a clue. Did Shaw's size count against her? I'm not sure. I think what counted against her was the fact that Renard rolled about like, I don't know, like she was rolling down a flipping hill. It was unbelievable. I mean, I've never, she's doing that with the arm. And like the contact was so minimal. Like, I feel like she bought that. I'm not going to go so far as she's dived, but.
I think if Shaw wasn't on a yellow already, that wouldn't have been a yellow.
No, which is bizarre. And the fact she is on yellow, the fact that the refs made that decision that, yes, this is something that deserves to send the player off the pitch and keep them out of the next game. Like, you know,
I wonder if they can appeal it. Is it not enough time? Or I don't know.
I don't think they can appeal it. And yeah, like I said here, Renard certainly did sell it. And Neymar. So it's Brazil. 2 Brazilians we've put on there. It can't get overturned like Tooney's red, I don't think. No. What I don't know is whether they went to VAR to check that it definitely was a red. But I suppose the problem is that because it was a yellow rather than a straight red, it probably can't be VAR'd. So that was a shame. But there we go. And then, of course, the other game was Brazil against Panama, which took place today. It's the last game of the day. And the first hat-trick was scored by Ari Borges. Ari scored 3 goals. It was rather wonderful. All of them involving her head. The first one, far post, unmarked, no dramas. Second one, she headed it. Goalkeeper saved it, followed in. Brilliant striker. The third one was a header through the legs, as if they hadn't done enough damage to Panama and the goalkeeper's confidence. And in between that, Bia Zanerato, who probably sounds like she should have been playing for Italy rather than Brazil. But what a brilliant goal from her as well. Cross to the feet, and it was back-heeled to her. Brazil were just out of this world, I felt, for that game. I know it's only Panama, but I see Brazil going on to beat France, which then leaves Panama and Jamaica. You'd think Jamaica would have an opportunity. I've got myself completely mixed up when I was saying that she was going to miss that game, Bunny Shaw, against Brazil, because it's France that are playing Brazil, not Jamaica. So there we go. Error from me. Jamaica will be playing Panama, so that probably is the game you'd want to miss out of the group if you were Bunny Shaw. But equally, will they still score? So I don't know. What do you reckon? I see Brazil going through, which will mean France will be on 1 point after the second round of games. Jamaica are already on 1. If they can get that win, they'll be on 4, which will put France in a tricky situation, although they will have to face Panama. What do we see in that group? Is it going to be who's joining Brazil, I suppose, really is the question there. Helen?
My head says France. My heart says Jamaica.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is that when you look at it like that, the fact that Jamaica should beat Panama even without Bunny Shaw, France are now in a really tricky situation, all because they couldn't beat Jamaica. Beth, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Helen. Like, in my head, I'm like, France? But, I mean, Panama's going to put up a good test, though. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Borges, apparently, is how we would pronounce that. Ellie, what say you?
I agree with the girls. My heart does say Jamaica because I think France is just lacking it without goal scorer, the one who ACL. So I don't know. Do you know what? I might as well just say Jamaica because I really do think Jamaica are just going to do it.
I think at one of those, it could be goal difference in the end, couldn't it? And
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing. If Jamaica managed to get the win against Panama, I can't imagine it's going to be by the same margin as Brazil did. So therefore, you are in a situation where it could just be that France will just need to better the scoreline that Jamaica do against Panama. So it could happen. It could happen either way. Yeah, that's a very, very, very interesting group. France without Henry, he can't play. He's retired. Or Marie Antoinette, she's dead. That was a very long time ago, that one. Crikey, what's going on there? Let's got some history lesson here going on from JJ. Come on, Marie Antoinette, she got her head chopped off, didn't she? Like I said, I don't know world players, so I presume she's a very good player. I don't know. Let's move on. I've killed Helen over there, bless her. You just compose yourself a little bit whilst we move on to Group G, where Argentina will face South Africa. Again, 2 teams on 0 points. And yes, I am. And then Sweden, of course, and Italy, who both have 3 points. And again, some great games there. The South Africa game against Sweden, quite an entertaining one, really. Happened on the Sunday. South Africa took the lead with perhaps the messiest goal of the World Cup that I've seen so far. I couldn't say if it was chest, hip, or thigh, but it was certainly bundled over the line after taking in all of the pressure that Sweden had given. Fridolina Rolfo did score in the second half, which was, again, a reasonable sort of goal, but one that probably, I mean, they thought it was own goal to begin with, but it wasn't. And then with 45 seconds left of the half, Amanda Ilestat did rather well to get a good header from a corner, and Sweden came out of it with a 2-1 win. Sweden with a better side, but again, it was a very, very tricky game for them. Meanwhile, in the other game, Italy against Argentina, I mean, they had a brilliant effort. Again, Caruso scored, brilliant goal, offside. Giacinti scored, offside. 2 great goals. The balls came through, brilliant finishes, but again, good defensive line from Argentina. But they couldn't stop Cristiana Girelli with a brilliant deep corner, which she then headed in. She's had over 100 caps. She scored, that was her 54th goal for her country. What an unbelievable group that's turning out to be. But again, we're in that tricky situation with the top 2 teams now facing each other in the second game. And of course, Argentina and South Africa, no slouches either. So what do we see about those games, and how do we feel those games are going to go? Who do we see coming out of that group? Helen?
I thought Italy were better than I thought they'd be. They seemed to click quite well. They've got their 16-year-old superstar with her second cap, I think it was. She did quite well. But Argentina weren't rolling over, so that was tricky. I think there's a lot of talk about Italy and the coach, because she left some players out and said she was under pressure to perform because of how badly they did at the last World Cup. But I think they've seemed to have got it right this time, so I'd fancy Italy to go through. And Sweden, I think, as well.
And here's another good point from TJ. Sweden-South Africa game is the only one where both sides scored, and I've just checked over my notes, and he's absolutely bang on, which is quite interesting that we've had a load of games where only one team has scored. But there we go. Beth, what do you make of this group?
Yeah, I mean, this is also a really interesting group. I do think Sweden's going to go through. I agree with everybody. My heart wants to say, honestly, Argentina, but I think Italy will actually go through.
Okay. Ellie, what say you?
Sweden and Italy. Sweden and Italy are going to go through. Because I think Italy have actually been they showed up really good. So, yeah, I do think Italy are going to go through.
I think of all of the groups we've looked at, I think this is probably the tightest one on that one. Because, again, if Sweden beat Italy, Italy will then have to face South Africa. And you feel like there's a chance there. But South Africa, they were really good at holding on that pressure and then counter-attacking where they needed to. So, yeah, I'm not sure about that one. That's probably the one I'd sit on the fence for. I couldn't pick 2 out of that at the moment. I'm going to need to wait till next week before we make that call. But there we go. That's Group G. Group H, to be fair, is a little bit harder due to the fact that only one game has been played so far in that group, with the other one coming tomorrow. Colombia will be facing Korea. But we have had already Germany against Morocco in the biggest scoreline so far, I believe, by 1 goal. Yes, I was right. Good. Just the 6 goals for Germany. Nothing too special. Just the 6. Again, what a game that turned out to be. I felt a little bit for Morocco on that one. Popped 2 great headers. Well, is that the second one? Maybe it was a shoulder, but 2 good goals there. Clara Bull, again, quite a good goal from her. Then 2 own goals, which were a bit of a shame. I am going to give it a go. Hanana Ait El Haj was the first own goal, and then Yasmin Umrabat was the second one. The other one was on the line. That was a really weird one. It was sort of headed backwards, and she tried to clear it. It's hit her thigh and gone over. So over the line, sorry. And then Leah Schuller at the far post. Brilliant goal again. The goalkeeper parried it to her feet. Easy for her to put in. Germany definitely looking the part in this World Cup, Helen.
Yeah, they certainly are. It's like the Germany revenge tour, if you like, from the Euros last year. I don't know if they can meet the USA before the final, but I'm thinking it might be a Germany-USA final. But of course, Spain will have something to say about that. So, yeah.
Best impressed with Germany so far, and especially with the fact that if England do make it through, and you would assume they would then make it through the round of 16, Germany do look like the likely opponents for the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I really, really like Germany. Yeah, I think they can go to the final. It's going to be interesting, the actual final coming out of it. Germany, I have Germany in the final. We'll see what happens to the other side. I'm American, but I'm not delusional. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think Germany's going to go all the way.
I mean, people picking Pop for the Golden Boot, but let's not forget that. What's her chops? Where's she gone? Borges, that one. Scored a hat trick, so she's one up already on old Snap, Crackle and Pop. So we will see how they get on. Ellie, what do you reckon? Germany, they really did look good. It's scarily good, actually. When you consider how they were when we played them in the Euros, night and day, much better.
Yeah, but when we played them, they had Pop out. So I've been thinking, imagine if Pop was actually playing. I don't think we'd have won that the Euros, to be fair. But yeah, I think Germany are on another level. Like I put out a tweet this morning saying Alexandra Pop, what a player. She's just amazing with her head and all that. So I agree with them. Like I feel Germany are going to be in the final, and I'm not sure, but I do think, I don't know, USA Germany final. I think at this point now, yeah, USA and Germany final. I do think now. Yeah.
Absolutely. I've got no idea between Korea and Colombia how that's going to go. Anyone got not a preference, but any insight into these sort of teams? Anyone believe one team should win over the other?
I don't know. I mean, I'm staying up to watch it tonight, so see how it pans out. But maybe Colombia.
You're staying up to watch it.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
It's at 3:30, isn't it? Or have I completely got the time zone?
Yeah, it is.
Why don't you go to bed beforehand? Because otherwise you've got that match, and then there's two other games.
Yeah, no, 6-9.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably will go through, but yeah, I'm watching it. It got me a
Otherwise you fall asleep, and then you won't be able to come on next week because you won't know what happened. But yeah, I think Germany definitely looking like they're going to go through that. So yeah, I think the last thing I wanted to ask you about before we all go, Barry, try saying Borges. The Brazilian forward who played for our debut was on free. That'll do for me. There's argument, Borges, Ari. We all know who we're talking about. And CJ says that was her debut, which was amazing. I just wanted to ask you guys about VAR and the usage of it. We sort of touched on it earlier on, but I'm absolutely loving how VAR is being used. I know that it can be annoying with the stop-start nature of it sometimes, but Beth, I'm going to come to you on this one because I see it like the NFL, and I think the problem when in the England game was that she gave the announcement of what she was given before she explained why. So when she said no penalty, everybody was going, what? And because they're making loads of noise, they didn't hear the bit where they said there was a foul before that one, where it needs to be the other way around. They almost need to say, upon review, there was a foul before the reviewable incident, so therefore no penalty, and then give the decision at the end, which will then allow people that chance to have heard what the explanation is before it's given. But for me, absolutely brilliant. What's your thoughts on it so far, Beth?
Yeah, I like it. It definitely does remind me of the NFL, and in the NFL, from what I remember, granted, it's been the summer, so we haven't been watching, but they do the same thing. They'll say false start, number 59 on defense or something. Like they say the penalty, like interference. So yeah, it's the same thing. I think you're just gonna have to get used to waiting a couple seconds until the uproar. But I mean, same thing happens over here. Like people will get uproared, they'll scream, they'll yell, but everybody knows that there's that like a few seconds. But I like it. It also reminds me of rugby too. But yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, Helen, this is surely. I mean, I saw quite a few critics of it on Twitter, but surely this is what we've been asking for a long time. You know, is that I can remember back in the day people saying that referees should come out and explain their decisions afterwards. This is their opportunity to do so in a very safe way, because you know they're not in front of the press or having to do anything like that. They simply just have to say what they've given and why, having had a conversation with two other people who've been watching it on a TV screen just like them. And you don't have to agree with it. Like I didn't agree. I thought it was a penalty. Russo was not a foul for me, but at least I went on that and I went, well, she thinks it's a foul, so I can live with that. What I didn't go was just, oh, they've given it away, they haven't given it, and then we have to have the commentator explain what they think it is that's happened. So it's what we've asked for, surely.
Yeah, and it seems to stop all the long pauses and almost silences where it's being reviewed, or at least no one in the stadium knows why or what's happening, because it doesn't even say review. When it was introduced in the 2019 World Cup, it was just taking ages and just shambolic. So I think they've tried to make it more succinct, and trying to explain to everyone what's happening is great. And I think all the refs have had to, if they didn't before, learn English, haven't they? Because it's all in English to try and explain the decisions, which is good for them.
I mean, it is interesting that. I mean, I know it is one of the most widely spoken languages in the world, but I mean, if it had been, obviously it's in New Zealand and Australia, which is an English-speaking country primarily, but it would be very interesting to see what would happen had that been in Japan, for example. Would all the refs have had to learn Japanese to put it out there in the host nation, or how it works? Like even the Eurovision Song Contest is only given in English and French, so it's very
France
interesting.
World Cup would have been, it's in France and then in French and then English later. You can guarantee they would have said it in French first.
So there we go. Ellie, we'll leave it to you to tie up the show on this one then. What's your thoughts on VAR and how it's been used this season? And I'll leave it to you to say, should we be seeing this both in obviously the men's game, but also in the WSL?
Do you know what? I find it so amusing, all of this VAR at the World Cup, because we've never had it before. Like, obviously, when I went to the Euro last summer, it was a joke. It took so long. Like, they kept running over to the side, running back and forth. So I feel like this has just saved a lot of arguments and a lot of arguments on Twitter and everything. So I think this is the best thing that's ever been invented, because it's just so amusing. It's like watching
Whoa. The best thing that's ever been invented. I'm going to have to stop you there. Ever. Not the car, not fire, not the wheel, not sliced bread. They are being explained by the ref. Best thing, not penicillin or the cure for the plague.
In football, it's probably one of the best.
There we go. Thank you. Check that.
Yeah, because and yeah, it should be in the WSL. I'm sorry, but the refs in the WSL, get the VAR in WSL, it'll be sorted then. And
if we've
same
had
with
that
the
VAR, we've beaten Chelsea and won the league.
I know, right? And then the men's game, yeah, have it in the men's game as well. So VAR can really help teams, maybe win a game, maybe the decisions. So yeah, VAR is a must in the WSL and the men's game. one day we'll hopefully see it. I hope so anyway.
Absolutely. That's a really good decision there from you, TJ. You could be right about a fire as well, though. And Jennifer says VAR and WSL needs massive investments by FA into grounds. It does. Or what it would also require is the clubs to just use places that are already going to have that stuff inbuilt, rather than taking them to a place that's really designed for sort of League Two football at best. So, but what do I know? I'm just a lowly host on a YouTube channel on a Monday evening, standing in for Connor, which I hope you enjoyed. Ladies, it's been an absolute pleasure taking this whistle-stop tour. It's taken just as long to talk about it as it did for me to watch it. So that was quite good. So well done, all of you. Thank you very much. Helen, I'm going to ask you very quickly, who do you think is going to win based on what you've seen on the opening game so far? Has anybody got you to a point where you're thinking they're the winners?
Germany. Sorry, Beth.
Germany. Beth, what say you?
I'm going, honestly, Germany too.
Ellie, is it a Germany hat trick?
Yeah, Germany. Germany's winning the World Cup.
That's through gritted teeth there, isn't it? Because you want to say England.
Of course I do, but
Yeah.
I have to be realistic, don't I?
I think we do have to be realistic.
Yeah.
I'm still
Germany
sticking with Brazil, which is what my shout was at the start. So they've not done anything to tell me they're not gonna. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. But there we go. Brilliant. Thank you very much, ladies. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you to everyone in the comments. As ever, you helped make the show go by so much better. RC, thank you for all of your entertaining posts, points that you have made. And you know what? I'm really not sure when we're back. I think we're back on Friday. Friday night, I shall be back. And we are going to be talking about a little matter of the England game against Denmark. So we shall know where we are. There will be lots to talk about as we discuss whether or not Katie Zellum's actually been used, which we probably could have done with 2 in front of that because we've got no centre back because somebody didn't bring Maya Letizia. But we can talk about that on Friday. So we can definitely do that. And of course, on the men's channel on Saturday, we'll be back where we'll be discussing the greatest ever side for Manchester United. Who's going to get your vote? Will it be somebody like Bobby Charlton? Will George Best get in there? Is it Ronaldo? Is it Rooney? Is it Cantona? Keane? So many names. So join us on that Saturday night where we can have an absolute ball discussing what our greatest ever 11 would be. But for now, thanks, ladies. Thanks, everyone else. And we will see you on Friday.